Spark a conversation, verbal elation, stimulation, education. This is Menage with the Mary Jane Maven. When we on the air, it's always a lituation. Might talk about some litigation, might talk about some immigration, might talk about some politics, but never talking nonsense. Yes, we on in the slide. Watch and listen, it's a vibe. Watch it while you getting high, or you can listen while you drive. Just don't forget to subscribe.
Roll up. Trying to get high.
Welcome to Menage with the Mary Jane Maven podcast with your host, the Mary Jane Maven. I am the producer, the hubby. Follow us on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Show us some love and click that subscribe button now. Don't forget to click the bell so you get notifications and click the like button on the videos.
And now, your host.
So 93. Okay, so I was only a sophomore. No, I was a freshman.
I think what it is, when you don't have that many people to identify with at school, it doesn't matter about age anymore.
Yeah. No, completely. I mean, because you guys, I joke when I say 17. It was more like 45, maybe 100 on a good day. And I don't regret how we grew up at all, though. Right. We dealt with a lot of adversity. Yeah. Racial, just dead in your face. And that I think that has prepared us to live in today's world. Any of us that Thundering Herd alum, that was part of that BSU that I started.
BSU.
We didn't have like a lot of racism. We had like violence. We had just too much violence.
Well, every year, I don't know before I came, but every year after Christmas, somebody would lose their damn mind and say something to one of the Mexican students or the black students. And the blacks and the Mexican students, they our areas were very close in the quad. It was like the Mexicans at the tree and the black people kind of over here. And they teamed up together. And it was always somebody who was supposed to be a leader at the school, a football player, somebody that was in presidency or ASB or something that said something crazy and then had to get their ass stomped, And it was without a doubt every year after Christmas break. I don't know why.
Well, this is what I noticed. Like I moved from Oakland. I went from Oakland High to Elk Grove High. Immediately the quad looked like a prison yard.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
In Oakland, it's a lot more diverse. Like we hung out like our clubs. I hung out with a lot of some of the Mexicans. But when it was club time, they had their Mayan club. We didn't have BSU.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, we're clicking these students together because of their race and not because of their common interests.
Yes, right. Yeah.
In Oakland, I was part of the hip hop club. That had Filipino, white,
right. Yes, the whole whatever. Thing. The hubby says all the time that the Bay is way more diverse, and I would always argue with them because they say Sacramento's truly diverse, and it is as far as the different ethnicities that are surrounding, but not as diverse as the Bay Area where everybody meshes. My husband says all the time, I didn't know what a Hmong was. Right. I didn't know that, that there was another form of being Latino because everybody was just Mexican or everybody, if you even categorize them at that. So I think he's calling to be let in, actually. He's calling me from downstairs. Thank you, Steph.
All the Spanish people or Hispanic people I knew in the Bay Area when I was a kid, they were Puerto Rican.
Really?
They weren't even Mexican.
Well, I remember thinking that you probably don't remember. He was in my grade, but a gentleman that we called Hair Boy. And cousin, I'm coming for you. I know you probably like, did I come in just to hear this conversation? But he was a guy. I remember his name, John, and F was his last name. I don't want to put his surname out there, but I remember thinking that he was, and just lumping him in and thinking that he was Mexican. Well, once I went to Davis and met my husband and started meeting some of his frat brothers and learned what Armenians and Iranians and whatnot, I was like, oh, he's totally Armenian. Like I think back and I go, oh God, that one somebody else named Guy. I know his last name. I know because of his last name, he was Armenian. Yeah. But growing up with him from 5th grade on, I would have just said the guy was a white guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I got more cultural education when I lived in the Bay Area for sure. Like when I came out here, people would say stuff like, "Oh, that Hindu dude," and they meant like Middle Eastern or like Indian, you know, like. And you're like, "Is he really Hindu?" And it's like, "No." That's not his ethnicity. That's a religion. You know,
Yeah,
some people
yeah.
just
And you don't
just
think
little
about
little ignorant things like
That's
that.
why
It's not their own fault.
when
though.
you go to the Bay, you'll see people of that are biracial. That'll be something that's like you'd be like he's Mexican and Hindu. In Sacramento, you're like what? Because like not Hindu, Middle Eastern, but they have because they have their communities out here.
Yeah,
and it's like they don't really intermesh like that. But in the Bay Area, I mean, shoot, you go out there, you hear Asians, you hear
Jamaican
Mexicans,
and Chinese,
gold teeth,
saying,
throwing the N-word around.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying. That's what he was saying. You know, that's what the hubby was saying. It was just like it was different. We never. Well, what's the one group that you called like the Filipinos, babe? Like in high school, remember you were talking about like you guys called them one specific. It wasn't a derogatory thing.
Okay.
No, it wasn't a derogatory thing. No. It wasn't a derogatory thing. It was something that they kind of called themselves.
Oh, like
and so everybody called them that. Yeah.
Name.
Yeah.
Oh.
But everybody kind of kicked it together. I remember now.
Team 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fresh off the boat.
Fresh off the boat.
That's what they called
They
themselves.
called themselves that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was all Filipinos and one black dude. So they called themselves Team 5.
And but see, that was something that was just like we couldn't have done that at Elk Grove.